Greetings, underling. How goes the wizardry? Hey, come on. I've never had an apprentice. I mean, uh, you're my apprentice. Does that not make you my underling? Just, just let me have this, okay? So, did you pick which spells you wanted to start with? I hope you remember what I told you about all the good ones. Detect magic, magic missile. Good, good. Your brain at least kind of works. And your glyphs aren't half bad either. Some of them are pretty tricky. Except, that one right there? That should look more like this. Yeah, see this right here? It has this, the flippy part. Yes, the flippy part. That's the technical term for it. Also colloquially known as the loopy loop. Right now, yours looks more like, kinda... You know what? Let's start over. Okay. Watch how I do it. You start here, then go like this, then like this, and finally, the flippy part. Now you try. Mm-hmm. There you go. Now, copy it down 50 more times. Chop chop. Relax, hotshot. I'm messing with you. You catch on quick. I'll be delegating all my work to you in no time. Yeah, no, I wish. We're gonna have to go on quests together and stuff. Not like I can actually make you do everything, and have to is a bit strong. Questing is honestly pretty fun. Sure beats sitting behind the desk. Unless the quest is like, find all 77 purple eggs scattered around town. Things like that are bound to crop up from time to time. Although, given all the stuff we can do with magic, I can't even say those kinds of quests are all that weird. They're still kind of a pain, but I guess sometimes you just lose 77 eggs in different places all at the same time, and you gotta do something about it. But whatever. Don't worry about all that yet. You set with your spellbook? Can't decide on your last spell? Alright, let's see. Identify is definitely nice to have, but it can be tricky for newbies. Some spells require you to use certain items even if you have your focus, and in order to cast Identify, you need to have a pretty expensive pearl. I don't know why. That's just how it is. Take it up with whoever invented the spell, I guess. Yeah, if you learn it now, you won't be able to cast it, but if you happen to get lucky and trip over a pearl tomorrow, you'll wish you'd learned it. So, such is the life of the wizard. How about... Oh, duh! Why didn't I think of... Underling. There is one extremely important first level spell that every wizard should have in their repertoire. Do you know what that spell is? No, Mage Hand is a cantrip. You did learn Mage Hand though, right? Okay, phew. Had me worried for a second there. I mean, don't change the subject. It's not detect magic either, but I guess it's kinda tied with that one. For the love of... This one, right here. It's called Find Familiar. Y- You you weren't gonna learn that one? Have I taught you nothing? Explain yourself. Is it the long cast time? No, wait. It's the incense, isn't it? Everyone's always so hung up on the incense. I know having to burn 10 gold worth of incense just to cast a spell probably sounds like a lot, but it's really not so bad. You don't actually have to cast Find Familiar all that often, so it's not like you're going to be constantly throwing away money. No. Instead, you'll be throwing away money when you learn new spells. Besides, if you really need more gold, just steal a few coins from your fighter or sorcerer, or whoever. They won't notice. Everybody knows sorcerers can't count. Alright, copy it from my spellbook, right now. Go. Because you're my apprentice, and I said so. Hear me and obey. Well, if you really don't want to, you can pick something else. But come on, just try it, please. I think you'll like it. Okay, cool. Great. I mean, you are wise to follow my advice, underling. Perfect. Congratulations on completing your beginner spellbook. To commemorate this momentous occasion, I'll get you some of that incense so you can summon your familiar for the first time. But before that, let me give you a crash course. So, the reason you don't have to cast Find Familiar particularly often is because once you have cast it, you can call or dismiss your familiar whenever you want. No hour-long ritual required. Like this. This is Knock, my special guy. Say hello, Knock. And now I can have him disappear and reappear and disappear and reappear again. Ow! Hey! Alright, I'll stop. Anyway, owls and cats and stuff like that are probably the most common familiars, but yours doesn't have to be anything in particular. Familiars aren't really animals in the traditional sense. They're actually little fey creatures that can take on a lot of different forms. One of the only times you'll need to cast the spell again is if you want to change their form. Say yours is a mouse, but you want to turn them into an octopus so you can take them underwater. Hells yeah! Your familiar can be an octopus. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it on land, but it's possible. That's where the incense stuff starts to get annoying. If you need to change your familiar's form a lot, then the cost can add up. Fortunately, in my experience, it doesn't happen too often. I'd say most of our familiars have a normal form that they stay in most of the time. Nock just likes being a raven. Isn't that right? What kind of stuff can they do? Excuse me, is having a super cool magic fae pet not good enough for you? Okay. First and foremost, they're not fighters. Bring them into combat without a solid plan, and, well, don't get your familiar killed. I mean, I guess they don't die. They just get sent back to the Feywild. But then you have to cast a spell again, and I can't imagine they like it. See, it'd be sort of like if your party has to cast Revivify on you. Sure, you're back, but it'd still suck a whole lot getting killed in the first place. As for what your familiar can do, Aside from being super awesome, there's two big things. First, they can share their senses with you. Using your magical bond, you can see what they see. Very useful if your familiar can fly, if they can squeeze through little gaps, or they might even have senses that you don't have. I once met a blind wizard who saw through his familiar all of the time. It was actually kind of incredible. That's how great familiars can be. Anyway, moving on. Second, whenever you cast a touch spell, you can cast it through your familiar instead of yourself. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing that to fight people, but your buddy can still help you pull off some tricky stuff. For example, I'm definitely not suggesting that you summon your familiar as a flea and cast Bestow Curse on the biggest, dumbest lunk in the tavern right before a drinking contest. Yeah, no, that'd be awful. And also, a crime. Probably, I would imagine. Anyway, even though you probably shouldn't use them to fight anyone, if you can avoid it, something like shocking grasp can be helpful for getting your familiar out of a pinch if they're in trouble. Although at that point, you could also just dismiss them to get them out of danger too. Ironically, one of the best spells to cast through your familiar is Identify, like we talked about, but I still think that's something you should pick up later. A familiar can be here for you now, or as soon as you get some incense, that is. You know what I mean. Besides, I said I'll buy you some for your first summoning. Now come, underling, to the market. Do you prefer underling or hotshot? Actually, never mind. That's a dumb question. Oh, also, want to grab lunch or something after? I know a pretty good place nearby. Don't know. I thought we should do some mentor-mentee bonding activities or something. Look, I'm not going to pretend the guildmaster told me to or whatever. I just thought it'd be a neat thing to do. Don't make me order you to have lunch with me. Alright, cool. Looking forward to working with you, Hotshot. Now come on, let's go.